Welcome, everyone. We are live. Ooh, and it is for yay. Oh my goodness. It is Friday. I made it through the week. Yeah, I hear you, handsome. I hear you. And he's saying, let's get started. That's what he's been singing for a minute now. Um, but so welcome everyone. Listen. It was the best of oatmeal. It was the worst of oatmeal. I'm just kidding. It's Sesame Street. But you know how we do it on Fridays because we're going through the weekend. And as I'm not online on the weekend, but sometimes we forget what to do and we forget that we can do it because we get caught up in other things. And so here is your reminder. This is the process. And Neville Goddard, whatever insight he had, he laid out the process in a simple way. And when I give you the process, I give you the process the way of the principles, which is what he did just in layman's terms. But what I do is demystify it for you because there's no secret. It is no secret what God can do, what he's done for others. He can do the same thing for you, right? There's no secret. If you comprehend the process, you will find that you don't have to fight. You don't have to struggle. You don't got to say, well, I believe, but I don't. You don't have to do that because every day that we get up, we see the evidence of our existence and how it works. And if we would apply the same principle that we apply in the garden, well, you'll change your life and you will see and comprehend what Neville Goddard was speaking about. He knew the principles. And how do I know? How can I stand 10 toes down on that? He always told you about cause and effect. And cause and effect is the fifth. Is it the fifth or the sixth? Mathematically speaking, it is the sixth principle, right? But he told you about it all the time. And so, what the rest of the manifestation world doesn't tell you because they don't know, because they can't explain it. They just leave you with this, maybe you can and maybe you cannot. When in actuality, you are doing it every day. And all I am doing is showing you where you're doing it already and that you're doing it 24/7, 365, 66. And all you're doing now is becoming aware of what you are doing so that you can change your life. So the recap is this. Can I change my life? Yes. And here's how. Step one, acknowledge where you are in your life. Stop lying to yourself. You see, now, we don't lie to ourselves because we're trying to be mean or we're trying to do anything shady. The lie comes from the fact that we're scared. Oh, indeed. What do you mean I can change my life? Because the moment you recognize that you can change your life, then you have just been stripped of your ability to blame someone else. And when you have been stripped of your ability to blame someone else, it scares you because what are you going to do? You got to take full responsibility. And the principles are showing you on a daily basis that your power comes from your ability to be responsible. So when you look at your life and you take stock and you say, wait a minute, I don't like this part of what I'm living. When you take stock and you acknowledge that and you say, man, I don't like this. You can't say it was my mother's fault. You can't say it was my daddy's fault. Can't say it was my preacher, teacher, whoever else. You can't say it was the system's fault. When you say it is the fault of another, you weaken yourself, and the principles do not nurture weaklings. The principles don't do that. The principles make everybody strong. Hello? The principles make everyone strong. What you will discover that when you acknowledge your problem, you will comprehend why your mother did what she did, why your father did what he did, why your preacher, teacher, whoever did what they did. You will comprehend it. And when you comprehend it, you will say, oh, snap. I get why they did what they did. Well, I have the power over my own life, so I'm not responsible for what they did. They are responsible for what they did, just as I am responsible for what I do. And if I have the capacity to change, well, then they too will come upon the knowledge and they will change for themselves. You'll get to that point. Oh, you will. Because why? You will acknowledge your problem, which is always step one, the awareness, which is the principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. When you become aware of the problem, you'll see the solution. You know, I can stand 10 toes down on this one because you know the young people, right? I'm standing 10 toes down. I'll stand, baby. I'll stand. I hear you. When I'm standing 10 toes down, I can say to you, if people understood this, the rate of suicide would be considerably lower, for one, and people wouldn't contemplate it as much. Why? Because when you look at your problem or you look at where you are in your life, and you can only see that it is hopeless, what other option do you have? But if you look at your life and you recognize that your life is a series of choices or mental moods, you're not afraid anymore. You're not hopeless anymore because you already know how to change your mood. Do you not? Because that leads us right into step two. You already know how to change your mood. I don't have to tell you. You turn on your favorite song. You go do what you enjoy doing just so you can feel better. But here's the thing. Sometimes, if you are not aware of what mental mood you are in, you will do things that are not necessarily helpful to you. But you have changed your mood. This is what I'm trying to show you right now, is that you and I are always changing our moods. We always are. Some people smoke. Some people drink. Some people tap, tap, and inject. Some people snort that line. Some people dance. Some people garden. Some people read. Some people get out their rosary beads and pray. Now, in the mix of all those things that I just listed off, did you catch the beneficial ones? Right? You know the beneficial ones, right? Ain't no way tap tapping and injecting is going to be beneficial. But it changed your mood. So naturally, we change our mood. The question becomes, what mood do you want to change to? Because if you snort the line or you smoke, and it depends on what you're smoking though. If you smoking, if you popping the pills, if you tipping that bottle, that mood that you're changing to. You see, it's not good, bad, or indifferent. I want you to just recognize that you are changing a mood. That is all you're doing. Good, bad, or indifferent, you are changing the mood. However you seek to change that mood and what device you use to change the mood with is irrelevant. Just recognize that you're changing the mood, which is going to take us into step 2, right? The mood that you choose is now going to have importance for you. The mood that you choose, if you keep choosing that mood, you're going to make a habit. So the habit that you now created, remember the list I gave you? Don't judge it. Just recognize that that's what we do naturally. So if you say, okay, I acknowledge where I'm at. I'm in a mood right now. I'm in a state. I'm in a mental state, right? You recognize that. Naturally, you want to change the mood. You want to lift it. Do you not? Yes, you do. Some moods only lift momentarily and they fizzle out, leaving you feeling worse, right? Other moods, they don't fizzle out so fast. They linger, and the longer you stay in that mood, the better you feel, right? But always remember there is an ebb and a flow. You can't hold on to the mood indefinitely. There is a rhythm, there is a pattern. So because you can't hold on to the mood indefinitely, what you can do is return to the mood habitually, right? Because you can't, listen, nobody is happy all day, all night. Nobody is sad all day, all night. Nobody is angry all day, all night either. So you can't hold on to the mood because that is not our nature. Our nature is to select the mood. And if we continually select the mood, now it becomes a habit, which means we're going to go back to that thing over and over and over and over again. So you see what you do naturally? Now you don't have to believe that you can change your life. You know that you can change your life, and you're beginning to see the process because you do it naturally. Neville says you remain faithful to your desire until it takes on the tones of reality. What? When you hear tones of reality, it means it is something you do naturally. So it is real to you because you do it naturally. So naturally we form habits. The principle of rhythm dictates that. We don't have a choice but to form a habit. This is why we always say we are creatures of habit, because that is our nature. So, step 1, acknowledge where you are in your life. It doesn't matter how, and let me tell you something, if you had a smelt lady yesterday, oh, God, give me grace. It does not matter how this place that you are in at your life stinks. It is irrelevant how bad you think it stinks to be there. The power to change your mood deodorizes. Okay. I'm just making an observation for you. You don't have to say, "Oh, it stinks. I don't want to be here." No, don't do that. Just acknowledge. And when you acknowledge how much it stinks, obviously you want to deodorize, do you not? This is why we got Febreze. Naturally, you want to deodorize. So then this puts us into step 2. What would you prefer to be instead? That's step 2, to answer that question. What would you prefer to be instead? So that means you got to sit down and get out some pen and paper. And because I like to write things down. Yeah. I get to see the picture when I write things down. So when you write it down, what do you want to be? Obviously, if it stinks, you don't want to stink anymore. You want to smell better, do you not? Isn't that obvious? You can't say, I want to go for a walk. No, be precise. If it stinks, you want it to smell better. Clearly. So, what would you be doing in your life naturally if it didn't stink? What would you be doing? Because there is something you would be doing that confirms for you it doesn't stink anymore. How do I know? Because you are doing something right now that tells you it stinks. So, what would you be doing that tells you it doesn't? You would be doing something naturally, right? So, what is that? Look at what stinks, obviously, and you'll see what you'd be doing that doesn't. If you are presently unemployed, and that stinks because bills, what would you be doing naturally? Well, you'd be gainfully employed. Right. See? So if you would be gainfully employed, what would prove to you that you were gainfully employed? Your paycheck. Whether you are gainfully employed or gainfully self employed, the money would show you that you are. Why the money? Because unemployed, you would not be able to pay your bills, can't feed yourself. You see what I'm saying? Maxed out all your credit. You see? But if now what would you be doing if you were gainfully employed? Pay your bills on time and in full. You could buy whatever you want. You start to see now how step 2 is important to acknowledge what you're doing in step 1? Because step 1 shows you how to build. It shows you what action to take naturally. So you get into your mind's eye and you're like, oh, so what would I be doing if I was booed up? Because if I wasn't single anymore, if I was booed up, what kind of relationship would I be in? Oh, what kind of relationship would I be in? What kind of man would he be? What kind of woman would she be? Well, that depends. What do you like? Do you like to argue and have a crash out? Do you? Well, because then that's the kind of relationship you're going to have. Because that's who you are. As within, so without. But if you say, he'd be dreamy and we'd do things together, we'd go for long walks on the beach. How you going to go for long walks on the beach and you complaining all the time that your knees hurt? That's not what you would be doing naturally. Unless, of course, you decided you didn't want rickety knees anymore. Because you want to drop it like it's hot, right? So, in your relationship that you can see in your mind's eye, you'd be popping and locking and dropping it like it's hot. And he'd be wearing ankles for earrings. But I digress. The point is, you would be doing something naturally that proves to you that you are doing what you want instead of not doing what you don't want. And it leads you into step 3. A feeling is naturally going to emerge from you. Oh my God, a feeling will show up. That feeling will bubble up inside of you, and you'll say, oh, girl, right? Or however you talk to your fellas. I don't know how men do these things. Clearly, because I'm not a man. So, how would you feel if you were doing that thing? How would you feel? Would you feel excited? Oh, yes. Listen, I am sure you would. I am sure you would be tickled pink. You know, when a woman is newly engaged, right? She leans to the left, depending on how heavy the rock is. She'll lean to the left, and she will only have that hand to talk with. She'll put her hair behind her ear. She will talk on the phone with that hand. Turn it this way and that way so when the sun hits it, you got to pull your visor down. Ah, is that what you would do naturally? See how good that feels? Oh, if you had confidence now, how would that make you feel to know that you were confident? Shoot, you would walk like Shaft. You'd have a gangster lean. You'd have a swagger. And how would it make you feel to know that when you walked anywhere, if that's what you would do naturally, that shows you have confidence? Some people would walk into a room and command it. Some people would do something else. What would you do that would show you were doing what it is that you would naturally do if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be? And then you get a hold of what that thing is that you would be doing because it's imaginary at the moment. Is it not? Because nobody knows what it is. Only you do. And as you play it out over and over, because naturally that's what we do. How many times did you tell the story of how you experienced trauma? How many times? You see what we do? All the time we go back and we tell the story, do we not? We go back and we tell that story because it makes us feel some type of way when we tell the story. So naturally, you're going to have a story to tell. Oh my God, you will never believe what they did to me. You don't know the type of life I had. Oh my God. And God abandoned me and left me out here in these streets all by myself. We tell a story. So, step three, because that story that you have now seen in your mind's eye of what you would be doing and the way it bubbles up in your belly, not to be mistaken with gas. I digress. But it bubbles up into your bosom, yeah? Bosom just means chest. So men and women have bosom. I digress. So it begins to bubble up in your bosom, and you're going to want to tell that story. But you don't have anybody to tell the story to, because if you tell the story to somebody, they're going to think you nuts. So you keep that story to yourself, and you start telling the story every moment you can, because naturally we go back to the story, do we not? So you start telling the story to yourself, and you feel the feeling. Hmm? You feel the feeling, and the feeling becomes more intense every day you tell that story. Now, psychologically, here's what's happening. The more you tell the story, because you know we're creatures of habit, right? Now, a habit is anything that you do the same way every time. What story are you telling over and over and over again? The way you tie your shoes is a story. Mm? The way you learned to cook whatever your mama taught you is a story. The way you were treated by people is a story, right? So, what happens to your brain? That thing, that story that you're telling is a memory. That memory has a very specific mental pathway in your brain to follow because it left an impression on you. But that's why, right? It left an impression on you. Anything that leaves an impression upon you, child, you're going to talk about it all the time. You know, we do it naturally. When someone says, you will never guess, I was looking for this job and it just fell into my lap. And won't he do it? Ain't God good? Why would they tell that story? Because it left an impression upon them. It transformed the way they look at things. Naturally, it is what we do. So the more you begin to tell the story that only you know about, your brain physiologically forms a pathway. This is why Neville Goddard says to persist. Why? Because it is persistence that builds the pathway. Neurologically, that's what's happening. That's what you're doing. That is why you persist. You are not persisting in an imaginary act because you're bored and you're hoping it works. No, you are persisting in the feeling. Why? Because it is always the feeling. You ever met somebody? Remember Maya Angelou? People never remember what you tell them, but they remember how you made them feel. Because that feeling leaves an instant impression upon your brain, so that every time you feel it, you do it. Uh? Uh? So now you see step 3, the feeling of what you are imagining, the feeling. Neville says, catch the mood. He says, feeling is the secret. Because when you feel, it leaves an impression. In Barbados, they tell you, that only you don't hear, by and by you will feel. And it is the thing that you feel that will make you act right, which means somebody's going to get an ass whooping. Because that's what they used to tell you when I was growing up. So if I didn't want to feel the sting of the belt, I straightened up and flew right. But you see, some people don't learn in that fashion. Confucius described it as the horse who just knows there is a whip and will act accordingly. Another horse may need to feel the sting of the whip. Another horse may need to hear the whip and they act right. What is the feeling that accompanies the whip? So the horse who knows the whip is there knows what that feeling is. So he's not going to act a fool. So you see, the feeling. This is why humanity does what feels good. Naturally. Naturally. So step 3 is, what is the feeling that step 2 invokes? What would you be doing naturally? Oh, right. When you decide upon what that thing is you'd be doing naturally, it's going to make you feel. And that feeling, the more intense that feeling is, the faster it leaves an impression. So what we do naturally, repetition, we all know that repetition works. Because if it didn't, well, we wouldn't know our times tables. Rote memory, you just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and then bam, you'll know it. But repetition can sometimes take a long time. Especially, man, if that thing is boring, oh, it can feel like it's taking forever, isn't it? But if the thing you are learning makes you feel good, you are not going to have a problem do repeating it. No, because every time you repeat it, you're going to repeat the feeling too. So the feeling is the secret. So when it makes you feel good, you want to do it again. Uh, uh, you know this more than anybody else. When that thing makes you feel good, you say, "Ooh, do it again." Isn't that a song? Do it again, do it again, do it again. Oh, it is a song, you know. Oh, yes, it is. So that is telling you, if you watch yourself, you will begin to recognize that you're doing something. And it makes you feel good and you want to do it again. Naturally, that's what we do. So, to change your life, recognize and acknowledge where you are. And step 2, what do you want to become instead? Begin to see it in your mind's eye because it is something you would be doing naturally. And as you do that thing naturally, Oh, it will feel like a fire shut up in your bones, and you're gonna want to tell somebody, but you know if you tell somebody, they're gonna say, "This bitch is crazy." So you keep it to yourself. And you walk down the street, you got a new pep in your step, and people are looking at you like something changed about you. What did? And you just laugh, you say, "Nothing, honey. I'm good." And you keep it to yourself. And all the opportunity out of the 24 hours in the day that you get to generate that feeling over and over and over, now you know what you're doing. You know that the more you feel that feeling, the more you see the thing in your mind's eye or hear the thing in your mind's ear, you associate it with a feeling. And so when you associate that new thing with that feeling, you are setting down a pathway in your brain. And it is only a matter of time that that pathway in your brain has to show itself physically. And you will do, which means now things don't just appear out of thin air. They look like they do, but they don't. You will say, "Oh my God, what a coincidence." So I went somewhere and I found the thing I was looking for, or I met the person. What a coincidence, because I was thinking about it. I, you just explained what a coincidence is. A coincidence is the external experience that matches the internal thought or mood. Well, why else would you say, "Oh my God, I was just thinking about that"? Obviously, the thing you were thinking about is on the outside and it matches. That's why you would say it is a coincidence, but not that that came out of nowhere. No, it did not come out of nowhere. It came from you. It came from your mood. So now you see what you're doing. So the question becomes, can you change your life? But of course you can. Now you know exactly what you are doing. Oh my God, there's somebody called Manuel in the chat. I gotta do it. If you've ever seen the show Faulty Towers, Manuel, John Cleese. Manuel was his Spanish butler. Oh my God. That was such a good show, which leads us right into welcoming everybody today. Rosemary, darling. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Hey, sweetness. I see you, Rosemary. Cyber. Cyber, I'm just reading what you said. Because I remember I told you guys that some people will drink and some people will smoke. And Cyber says some people listen to Angela to make their mood better. Cyber, I love you. You're awesome. You better say hi to Brandon for me. Um, a little bit doesn't stand 10 toes down. You're right, Cyber. He stands 6 toes down. Yes, he does. Um, DJ Logan. Hello, DJ. Welcome to the space. Manuel, I see you, baby. I see you. These guys are kicking it with us in these YouTube streets. So we're on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Who is on Twitter this morning? Hello, BZ. I see you. Thank you for returning and spending time with us. It's good to see you. Fanbase, who's kicking it with us on this glorious Friday? Surreal is in the house. KZ is in the house. Honey is in the house. Yesterday I bought honey. Farm fresh clover honey. Oh, yes, I sure did. It pours all easily, but I digress. Anyhow, now you know that as you go through the day, you will know that the thing that you feel, Gerald, welcome to the space, darling. Now you will know that as you go through the day, you will know that the thing you feel most intensely is the thing you will experience. Melly Mel, hey girl. So when you ask yourself the question, You see this thing that I'm feeling most intensely? What are you feeling most intensely? What are you feeling most intensely? Anger, peace, frustration, rage, happiness. What are you feeling most intently? Yeah. So the thing you're feeling most intently is the thing you will do and thereby experience. So what does knowing that now cause you to do? It causes you to chickity chickity Eric check yourself before you wreck yourself is what it causes you to do. That's exactly what it causes you to do. It causes you to check yourself to say, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. What am I feeling right now? Because if you can identify it and you say, well, listen, don't cross me today because I'm in a mood. Uh-oh. And when you know what mood you're in, you know exactly how you're going to behave. Do you not? So if that is what we do naturally, then to save yourself, determine the mood that you want to feel most intently, thereby changing your experience. Hmm. But Angela, that is too easy. Is it? Listen, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. What it takes is boldness and courage because you are already doing it. You are already doing it. Melly Mel. Yes, Melly Mel. Popcorn. That's her name. Her name is Popcorn because she's soft and bright yellow, like a buttery kernel. And that's why I named her Popcorn. So, yes, she be peeping all the time. Peep, 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 peep. That's, So, yes, Melly Mel, that's my new baby. So, I'm a granny, okay? I'm a granny. uh, so, listen, you have what it takes to change your life because you've been changing your life this whole time. Mm-hmm. You have. I didn't forget you. How could I possibly forget you? Hmm? Hmm, handsome? Oh, jeez. I'm not gonna forget you, handsome. Ever. He has left such an impression. Hmm? You see? The thing that leaves an impression upon you. And step two, let me open it up just a little bit more. Step two, when you begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality, right? Remember, because you'd be doing something that would prove to you that you've changed. So, in that step two there, that is what you use to help you generate the word generate, principle of gender. It'll help you come up with an idea, won't it? And that idea to change your mood. So, when you're in step two, take your time with step two because you want to get the feeling just right. Well, you'll know what it is when you get it. You'll know because it'll feel a particular way. Right? It'll feel a particular way. Because I'll say it to you this way. For the longest time, because I've had a little bit for a long time, and because I'm answering that question, Cyber, but that question, I've been watching it materialize in my world. Little bit, has a bum leg. It's just his deformity. I'm sure the principals will change that leg every day. Every day. And so, for the longest time, I've always said he needs progeny. He needs offspring because he's such a handsome man. A little bit. I've never seen black as brilliant as him, red as vibrant, or white as reflective as he has. I've never seen that. He is the most handsome feller I've ever seen. with a great temperament. A little stubborn, but he's got a great temperament. And I always said, you need to have babies. And then one day, as if by magic, I get this phone call that says, hey, babe, they're picking on this little hen and they won't let her eat. And if I don't find somewhere else for her, she's going to die. I said, my door is always open, so bring her by. She's a little skittish because, you get picked on that much. But she's as cute as a button. Oh, yes, she is. And her name is Lady. Now, her and Lil Bit have not consummated any relationship because Lil Bit does not yet know how to do it. He has not yet been moved in such a fashion. In other words, if you want to say it biblically, he sounds like he's choking. He's not. He's got half his body under the couch. That's why he's crazy. But in biblical terms, when the scripture would say, and then Abraham knew his wife, all right then. A little bit does not yet know Lady in that fashion. But if I leave them alone long enough, well, something will happen. I am telling you because that's what nature does. So, Lady got into a mood. She got broody, meaning because she was laying eggs, right? Because that's what hens do. They lay eggs, roosters crow. So she stopped laying eggs. When they're broody, they don't lay eggs, they lay on eggs. So because her and Lil Bit don't yet know each other, I got a call. Well, I put the call out and I said, look, this girl is broody. So you better have some eggs in the incubator that you can bring me that were fertilized, right? So I was given 2 eggs that were fertile. They were fertilized by another rooster. So I gave them to Lady and I think I have a video. She used her beak to roll the egg under her body. And she's been sitting on those 2 eggs for 21 days. Listen, this has been the longest 21 days of my life. 1 egg has hatched. So we got babies. And that has always been my desire for a little bit, that he will have babies. Then the girl showed up. So then the only thing left is for him to, let's get it on, right? That's the only thing that's left. So I don't have anything to worry about. He's going to have progeny because that is my desire. And I feel that desire with every fiber of my being. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that, well, little bit, whether he needs my assistance or not, will mount the challenge. But I digress if you pick up what I'm laying down. Anywho, to answer the questions, yes, she is a surrogate. And so she's a very attentive mother. I've, it is amazing. She's very protective of that chick that has hatched. And it is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It really is the most beautiful thing that I've ever encountered, is to have a little chicklet whose name is Popcorn. And she hides under the feathers of her mama. Because it keeps her warm, yes? Well, and her mama will teach her how to eat and how to drink water. You see what nature does? So you see, my beautiful friends, manifestation is always at work. Because I knew what I wanted. And it took almost 2 years. But here's Lady, and Lady is willing. She has a little dance that she does to show the rooster that she's willing. It is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. So you see, my beautiful friends, when you take the time to acknowledge where you are. Be like Lady and be willing to change. Why? Because, isn't it Sheryl Crow? Change will do you good. And she said change will do you good. Yes. Be willing to change. But now you see why you're always willing, are you not? You think you're unwilling? You can't be unwilling because that would go against principle, and we can never go against principle. We are always in alignment with principle, even though it looks like nothing is going your way. It's not that nothing is going your way. You have already laid down the way for something to go, so it can only go that way. So if you want something to go another way, you have to persist in step 2 and 3. Imagining what you want to be and the thing that proves to you that you are it. And then be willing to saturate yourself in the feeling of the reality of it. That is what you do on a daily basis. You get it right? Anyway, get it right and get it tight. You know what? And then you will stop running around these streets talking about, I gotta be happy all the time. I gotta be in a good mood all the time, or my manifestation won't happen. Stop that madness. Because now you comprehend the principle of rhythm, the ebb and the flow. Or, as scripture, if you lean in that direction. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. Yes? Anywho, I have prattled on enough. So you've had bird song. You've had bird song. But now it's time for the chime. He may sing again and you'll have cock and chime. But I digress again. So, as you hear the chime this morning, are you willing? Don't be in here in these streets talking about spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. If the spirit is willing, the flesh cannot be weak. Why? As within, so without. So if your spirit is willing, then so too is your flesh. Because the flesh always follows what spirit does. It has to. Oh, let me go get this chime so y'all can get out of here and go to work on time. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you. And remember, yes, you can. You can, and you are willing. So go through this weekend and know, K-N-O-W, knowledge. When you apply knowledge, well, the effect is wisdom. But you know how it is. I will see y'all on Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Fanbase. All right, y'alls. And you know what? I'll say this. If you're interested in getting one of these chimes, pop into my link tree. And it's in my, I guess you could call it merch. But it's not really merch because I don't make money off of it. It's just you put in your zip code and they'll tell you the closest location to get this chime. It comes as a set. Or you can get them singly, whichever. But if you're interested, totally up to you. But now you know. If you don't know, now you know. Oh, hello, Gerald. Gerald, honey, you just gonna have to catch the replay. Indeed. You're just gonna have to catch the replay, baby, because we just finished. But thank you for being here, though. I appreciate that. Anyhow, y'all, let's go through this weekend. And remember, yes, you can change your life. Indeed, you can. Your spirit is willing, and so is your flesh. And I'll see you Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace out, little bit lady and popcorn. They say to have a good day too. All right. Peace out, everybody. Peace out.